You guys ask a lot of questions and I am here to answer those questions. In today's video, we are going to be doing a frequently asked questions video. I don't think I have ever done one like this, so we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty excited. I think that frequently asked questions videos are so much fun. I get a lot of questions, so I'm just gonna dive right into this. I pulled a select few, definitely not all of them. And I don't even know if we'll get through all of these today, but let's try. Because they're frequently asked questions, I did try to condense them into one question. A question I've been getting a ton of recently, and pretty much all of my YouTube career, has been, how many active listings do I need to have in order to make consistent sales or in order to meet my monetary goals? In order to sell like 7,000 a month or something like that. And the answer is listings don't really matter. Active listings do not really matter. I know a lot of people, especially in the beginning, strive to have X amount of active listings in their store because they think I don't know, I think the mindset is if I have 1,000 listings in my store, I'll probably sell like 10% of it. And so you try to bank on that guarantee, but those just aren't real numbers. I have seen people who have thousands of listings who only sell a couple of things a month. On the flip side, I've also seen people who have only 100 items regularly in their store, but they sell through those 100 items multiple times a month. They're constantly churning inventory and they're able to make as much as I am. That is what you want to strive for. In a perfect situation, the goal would be to have less inventory, but make more money. This is something I wish somebody would have talked to me about in the beginning, because I definitely had that mindset when I started that I just needed to list as many things as possible and I would eventually meet my monetary goals. That is not true. And I'm now currently, years later, thinking about scaling back down and trying to make my store a lot smaller, but still achieve the same amount. So again, if you're capable of it, having the least amount of listings possible, but selling through those listings over and over and over again and constantly replenishing them would be an ideal situation. So what numbers do you need to look at and how do you make that happen? The numbers I would look at are not your active listings. I'm actually going to pull up a document that we created for the Resellers Edge group, which is called our goal setter document, which is basically just a general spreadsheet. You could make one yourself if you knew the formulas, but basically it is plug and play. You put in the things that you can control and then it spits out a number that you could potentially profit per month. So let's say on average, my cost of goods are about $5. My average sale price is around $25. That is just the item. And then we're going to make fees 20% because on Poshmark, that's the highest fee structure that I personally have, but you could obviously change that. And that gives you an average net per item of $15. And you can kind of reverse the equation to figure out how many listings you actually need to list with these metrics in order to meet your goals. So in order to make these goals under that $5 average cost of goods and a $25 average sale price with a net of about $15, I would need to list about 84 items in total to make a potential profit of $5,000 per month. However, that is if everything that I list sells. So you want to add a little bit of cushion depending on your sell-through rate. The good news is if you are looking at this formula for yourself and you're plugging in your average cost of goods and your average sale price and you're like, yeah, I can't list that amount of items, there's no way I'm going to meet my goals. You can change some of those other numbers in order to achieve your goals. Whether that is you're increasing your sell-through rate or you're increasing your average sale price or you're lowering your cost of goods. So it's not always just about listing more and more and more. But definitely for sure, do not focus on the amount of active listings in your store and focus on what you are listing that month. Another frequently asked question that I get, which is surrounding this topic, is how many active listings do I have? We are currently down to about, I think we're around 8,000 active listings, which I know it sounds like a ton, but a lot of those listings are super old listings that we listed years ago. I really didn't have a good plan in the beginning. All I did was mark things down, but I never said, okay, once it gets marked down to this much, I'm going to go ahead and end those listings and do something with them. And we're finally starting to do that now. So my goal would be that we would get back down to 5,000 active listings by the end of the year. So cutting out 3,000 rotating active listings. So we'll see what happens. What does BOLO mean? I'm getting this question a lot from people that I assume are new to reselling and are finding my channel, BOLO stands for be on the lookout, and it's essentially just what us resellers call items or brands or styles that are selling like hotcakes that you definitely want to know about so that if you find them in the thrift store, you can pick them up to flip. That's what a BOLO is. When you started accepting free returns, did you start getting a lot more returns? I think this is a great question, and I really want to do a video just all about free returns in general, but the short answer is yes. When I started having free returns, I did see a slight, not dramatic, but a slight increase in the returns that I was getting. But as I've said before on many different videos and live Q&As, offering returns has also increased sales substantially for me, and the sales definitely outweigh the returns. And just in general, just a concept that I really want you guys to understand is as you start having more sales, the returns come with that too. Whether you're offering free returns or whether you're not offering returns, just in general, as your sales begin to increase, the more stuff that you list, the more likelihood that you are going to have returns because that percentage just follows with it.
More money, more problems.
So if you're getting a lot of returns, but your sales are also going up and the percentage of your returns are remaining about the same, don't let that discourage you. That's just part of business. Now, if you're listing the same amount of items and your return percentage has gone up significantly, then there might be a problem that you need to address within your business and look into why you're getting so many returns. Where do I source? I get this question a lot. So the short answer to everything is I get almost every single one of the items. I would say, gosh, I don't even know, probably 99% of the stuff that we get comes from regular thrift stores or the Goodwill bins. When I go sourcing, I very rarely go to the bins, although that might be changing soon. I kind of want to test out some bin stuff. But I would say that majority of the time when I am sourcing, solo, I am just going to everyday chain thrift stores like Goodwill, frequent Goodwill every single week. I do have wholesalers, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment, but the wholesalers are also shopping at either regular thrift stores during discount days or they're shopping at the Goodwill bins. So like every single thing is thrifted. There isn't really, besides maybe a few places that myself or my wholesalers are going, that you couldn't also go and source. What is my cross-posting method? So you guys know I use List Perfectly, obviously, which link down below, hit the link tree in the description if you want to check that out and get a discount. Love List Perfectly. But my personal preference is listing on eBay first. eBay is the platform that requires the most information. And so just with the way we do things, we personally like to list first on eBay. And then we cross-post to List Perfectly, and then it goes to any other platform. Usually it's just Poshmark after that, but we like to use List Perfectly as a hub to keep track of what platforms it's listed on and basically an inventory management system. The only reason that I don't use List Perfectly to start our drafts is because eBay has a ton more bulk features that we use, like uploading a spreadsheet to create drafts. Like, I just cannot beat the amount of time that I save by doing that on eBay. If those bulk functions were not there, we would definitely start listings on List Perfectly and then spread them out. But with all the bulk functions that we have, we are starting listings on eBay, then List Perfectly, then Poshmark, and possibly other platforms. And that method has worked really well for us over the last year. Speaking of cross-posting, have I ever sold something on more than one platform? Anytime that you guys cross-post and put the same item on multiple platforms, it's always a risk that you could potentially sell it on both places or maybe even 3 different places. I've definitely sold things on multiple platforms before. I would say it is a very rare occasion. We're taking items down pretty much like within a couple hours of them selling. So the likelihood of something selling very quickly on multiple platforms is not likely. Plus, with List Perfectly's new beta auto delist, like things are starting to get taken down even when I can't get to them quickly. So that's been really nice. It happens on occasion. What do I do in those scenarios? Because eBay is so strict about canceling orders and Poshmark isn't necessarily yet. They don't have a lot of repercussions yet on Poshmark. Hopefully that never changes. When those things happen, I choose to cancel on Poshmark to protect eBay. We ship out every single business day, so we're getting to the buyer pretty quickly after the sale happens. And usually they're pretty nice and they're understanding. I usually send a message that says something like, hey, I'm really sorry. I was getting ready to ship this item out and realized it had unfortunately been previously sold on another platform and relisted by mistake. With as many items that we have in our store, we do make mistakes from time to time. Like, I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna have to cancel this order. And then at the end, I will always say, if there is another item in my closet that you're interested in, I would be happy to give you a big discount. And I've honestly never really had anybody push back or fight with me on that. Some people might say things like, oh man, that sucks. But most of the time people are just like, I understand, like, no problem, it happens. And I think the reason for that is because we get to it like right away, shortly after the sale happens. As you guys know, myself and some other resellers started the Resellers Edge group back in January. I've been getting a ton of questions about Resellers Edge recently, and I do plan on talking about it a little bit more on the channel. But one question I have been getting a lot, I guess it's a combination of questions and also comments, but it's all surrounding this question, which is, why would I join a paid group when I can get all of this information online for free? And I will say there is some merit to that. There are a lot of reselling groups, some of which are unpaid, some of which are paid. There's a lot of courses. There's a lot of things going on. And I totally get it because I have checked some of those places out before. I have paid for courses, I have joined groups, and I can say that not all of them are what they're cracked up to be, but some of them are. And some of them are totally worth the subscription that you're paying. Some of them contain information that you can definitely find online very quickly for free. Some of them contain very niche down information and stuff that it would be very hard to find free content on. And although you might be able to find some of this information for free online, you're not going to find it very quickly. And I can tell you that after years of experience of being a newer reseller, trying to find all of this information that no one was sharing online. And it took me literally years to figure out some of this stuff because I was just trying to consume free content. The reality of it is that you can watch hours and hours and hours of content, and a ton of time goes by and you might get one little nugget of information that changes, your reselling trajectory. And those little nuggets, those little tiny bits of information that you finally come across after months of listening to somebody, those are the things that we are trying to put into the group and give you all at once so that you don't have to spend months, sometimes years, trying to find that information. At least in our group, can't speak for other groups, but I can tell you in the Resellers Edge group, we have years of experience between myself and the other resellers where we really know what we're doing, and we've been through the mistakes, we've been through those roadblocks, and we know how to jump over those hurdles or sidestep them altogether. And those are the things we really want to share on a more intimate level in the group. It is just so hard to help every single person who comments on YouTube because I can't really, write paragraphs and paragraphs or talk to you on a live video in replies in YouTube comments, if that makes sense. But in a group where we have live calls, I can hop on a Zoom, I can share my screen, you guys can ask questions, we can pull up your store and we can look through things and we can really talk out different scenarios. And that's just not something that you can do in the comments on YouTube, at least very quickly or efficiently. And so for all of those reasons, that is why I would consider joining a group versus spending years online trying to find those small nuggets of information. I do try to share those nuggets of information with you guys here on YouTube, but there are so many more details that we can go over, and I can really hold your hand and walk you through things. And I just can't do that here on YouTube. Do I follow price recommendations on sites like eBay and Poshmark? So like down where you're typing what you're gonna price things for in your draft, eBay and Poshmark will spit out this like recommendation of what other things are priced for that are similar. The answer is absolutely not. I do not follow that at all. I don't even look at it. I pay it no mind. Most of the time it is completely wrong and I am checking comps anyways. The reality of it is that that price estimator is basically just pulling the same keywords from other listings and trying to jumble it into a price range. they really have no idea what your exact item is and what kind of factors you have. How can I find a wholesaler? I've been getting this question a ton. So wholesaling, first of all, is just so new to reselling in terms of like pre-owned items. So people have done liquidation before, bought pallets of like, return pallets or new attack stuff, overstock items, liquidation. But buying pre-owned items in bulk from other resellers is definitely a new concept, and I'm still learning how to navigate this world myself. What I will tell you is that because it is so new, there are a lot of people looking for wholesalers, but there are not a lot of seasoned wholesalers yet. So the people that are wholesaling cannot take on this giant amount of buyers and the demand that there is for the items, as there are probably like one wholesaler to every 1,000 buyers that are looking for a wholesaler. Even with all that, that doesn't mean that you can't still find a wholesaler for your business. I recently did an interview with one of my wholesalers at the time, which was Shelly. If you guys haven't seen that interview, I will link it down below in the description. But we talk all about wholesale and kind of like the other side of it from a wholesaler's perspective. Really great video to watch. That wholesaler actually created a Facebook group, which I will also link down below. If you want to join it, it's basically a Facebook group that connects people looking for wholesalers, so wholesale clients, with the wholesalers. Again, because wholesaling pre-owned items is so new to the reselling community, I have not seen, and you guys can let me know, but I have not seen another Facebook group doing this. I think this is like new. It's the first one. So join that group if you are interested. Like I said, ton of buyers looking for few wholesalers. My suggestion is go into that Facebook group, make a post, let them know exactly what you are looking to buy, be super specific. Say you are willing to buy X amount of items, what you expect the items to be, brand you're looking for. Be super specific because you really want to find the right wholesaler for you. It's like trying to get the right buyer to your listing, because they're the ones who are going to purchase it. You don't want to be matched up with a wholesaler that's not going to work for you. It's a huge headache. So make the matchmaking easy and make a post and say exactly what you're looking for. And I can almost guarantee you a wholesaler will match up with you. They will appreciate how clear cut you are. And if there is a right wholesaler for you, they will reach out. Besides that, I would still recommend just telling every single person what you do. You could generate a relationship in your own community where somebody might have the idea to wholesale for you when they weren't thinking about doing it before. We coach about this concept a lot in the group and help people to navigate specific situations where they think they might have a lead in their community. Here is an example of someone in our group that was able to form a connection with someone in their neighborhood just by telling people what they did, and it ended up being a super fruitful endeavor. It really depends, again, on supply and demand. What is happening to the sales? I've gotten this question for both eBay and Poshmark. So like everybody's saying sales are dead on both platforms. Here's what I'm going to say. Sales dip and they come back up and they usually even out. If you are experiencing a slow sales period of like 2, maybe 3 weeks, I would say that that's pretty normal, especially during this time of the year. People are not online shopping. It's called summer slowdown for a reason. I know we're not quite in summer yet, but once the warmer weather hits, like people stop shopping online. They are going on vacation, doing stuff outdoors with their families. There are a lot of holidays. They just aren't shopping for pre-owned stuff online, which means our sales are going to dramatically drop. And that's why they call it summer slowdown. So this is just a time of the year when people aren't really shopping. Not to mention, a lot of people have gotten their tax refunds back and they have spent all of it. So people are also out of money. So again, I think it's just a time of the year when sales tend to be kind of slow. If you are somebody who is experiencing abnormally slow sales and it's happening for more than just a couple of weeks at a time, I would say you definitely need to check your store and see if there are some tweaks you can make. Platforms are changing things all the time, so what works one day is not going to work next week, and we have to really keep up with what platforms are doing. For instance, eBay is now offering the discounted shipping rate that used to be optional and now giving it as a default to buyers. And that's really going to shake things up. And so you have to know that those things are happening and pivot. The good news is, even if it is a slow sales period or you yourself are experiencing abnormally slow sales in a time where sales should not be slow or for a long period of time, there are some things you can do. Take a look at your store, run sales. I think most of the time when people's sales have dropped, it's because the comps have changed and people just aren't keeping up with it. So whenever a season changes, we're used to sourcing what was popular in the previous season, but things dramatically change month to month. And so you've really got to keep up with that. I think most of the time when people say a dramatic shift in their sales, it's because they did not prepare for a seasonality change. So we just moved into spring. Spring stuff started selling probably a month and a half, maybe even 2 months ago. So if you are just now starting to transition your sourcing and what you are listing to spring stuff, that's probably a reason for slower sales. Take a look at what you are picking up to source and really work it to what is selling right now. Here soon, believe it or not, in a month or two, people are going to start buying fall stuff. And I just want to address this really quick in regards to this question, but I've been hearing a lot of things about people blaming Poshmark live sales for slower sales. I'm not saying it's not the case. I'm just saying I don't see the connection. I don't see how one is causing the other. I get that sales started dropping for a lot of people when Poshmark live sales started, but again, there's not a connection that I can find as to why the dramatic shift in sales. We experience some slow sales on Poshmark. Like I said, every reseller goes through it for maybe like 1 or 2 weeks. But when I look at month to month, my sales are still pretty consistent on Poshmark ever since the live sale started. So I can't blame live sales. Like, I have never tried a live sale on Poshmark, so I'm not gaining any benefit from doing live sales. And to hear everybody else say it, my sales should be dropping because of live sales on Poshmark, and they're not. They're remaining the same. And to be honest, we haven't really done anything differently. We're just, steady the course, and sales have remained consistent. That's just my opinion. And the last question of this video, and I'm going to sum this up because it's all surrounding this one question, but I'm going to sum it up with this question, which is, or I guess it's a statement. I feel like I'm trying really hard, but the sales aren't happening. Couple of things. First, whenever you guys decide to make a major change in your business, it will usually take a platform several months, at least a month, if not up to 6 months, for those changes to take effect. It's like working out. You don't get a 6-pack overnight. You've got to consistently work at it, and over time, it starts to pick up, and then it becomes the norm. Don't give up on being consistent just because you don't see the sales right away. Secondly, I think that the statement is so true for a lot of resellers, which is people are trying really hard, but they're not seeing results. And based on my experience of coaching thousands of resellers, normally they are trying hard in all the wrong ways. One question I want to leave you guys with, for anybody that has ever asked me a question surrounding this comment, is ask yourself, if your goal is to make, let's say, $500 a week, are you even listing $500 worth of stuff every single week? Ask yourself that question, do the math. Most of the time, the answer is no. I see a lot of resellers who think that they're doing everything that should line up to sales, but when they really actually look at the data, it's not there. The only way to know is to really check your numbers and know that you know that things are supposed to be happening. And if you're listing $500 worth of items, but they don't have a high sell-through rates, you're probably not going to meet your goals, or it is going to take you a much longer time to reach your goals. All right, guys, that is the end of today's frequently asked questions video. I definitely did not even scratch the surface of all of the frequently asked questions that you guys have. So if you guys like this video and me addressing those frequently asked questions, drop a comment down below and maybe we'll do another one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.